I'm Kariana Keller.
And I'm Faith Sweezy.
And the title of our performance is The Red Wave, How the Russian Citizens Altered Their Country's History by Fighting for Change. In January of 1905, revolution broke out in St. Petersburg, Russia, as thousands of citizens took to the streets, refusing to return to work until their demands were met. These demands included a living wage, an 8-hour workday, affordable housing, and public education. These inspiring protests is what is now often referred to as the event that began the Russian Revolution.
That bloody Sunday, hundreds covered the streets, wounded or dead, and the myth of the good Tsar, who cared about and wished to protect his people, bled to death in the snow in front of the Winter Palace, along with the victims of the mass shooting.
This revolution remained stagnant in Russia for another decade, while tension continued to rise within the peasants and the working class, united against the Tsar.
This eventually boiled over in the February Revolution of 1917, where the Tsar abdicated, giving power to the provisional government, but Russian citizens' needs still weren't met.
And that brings us here, to a factory in Moscow, Russia, in September of 1917, where two factory workers discussed the future of Russia in light of the recent worker strikes of the February Revolution. Elena, how is your brother doing, the one up in St. Petersburg? Are there any more updates on how he's recovering?
No, I keep waiting for more news. I can't believe that the revolution was already 7 months ago. I'm just glad he's still alive.
Yeah, I knew some people who weren't so lucky. But I know their sacrifice won't be in vain. I mean, now that we have this new provisional government?
Well, sure, but why haven't our lives actually changed? I mean, why are we still living side by side in these factories, day and night, barely making enough money to survive?
Honestly, you're right. I thought that after the revolution and the new provisional government was set in place, promising more quality, or at least better working conditions, that this country would start to get on the right track. But honestly, I think it's gotten worse.
Hey, some of the workers, including myself, have been having meetings a couple of times a week, just about the provisional government and what needs to change, because we can't keep living like this. We want real change, where the working class is seen. So if you want to join our meeting tonight.
And how are you planning on fixing everything exactly?
Well, right now, we're talking about writing a resolution that would look to move the government power to the Soviets.
The Soviets?
Unlike the Tsar and the provisional government, they plan on shifting power from the upper 10% to the rest of us citizens.
Oh, this sounds familiar.
Just think about it. Their mission is to create more of a balance, to centralize power. Think about what will get done and the changes that will be made once people, workers like you and I, are put in government positions.
And how are you planning on overthrowing the government? Are you going to organize any strikes? Like back during the February Revolution where over 1,000 people died? Yeah, I'm not so sure about this.
Natalia, don't you see? The only change that can come is if we speak up. The working class won't be silenced. We can't just stay silent either. The Bolsheviks have promised to bring us changes that we've been desiring. I believe they really are the people's government.
These promises sound good, but do you honestly think that we can trust the Bolsheviks? Their promises sound a little too similar to the provisional government. And look where that left us.
Natalia!
Hey, I'm just saying. I think we need to use more caution around who we trust. Well, I guess all we can do now is hope and pray that these new changes won't be like the last. 1 month later, revolution broke out, the October Revolution. Little blood was shed, but the provisional government was practically replaced overnight. Our focus shifts now to Maria Romanov, the daughter of Tsar Nicholas II. Living in Siberia, a temporary home for the Romanovs after the abdication of the Tsar.
Kira!
Yes, Maria.
Oh, there you are. Would you mind helping me with my hair?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, how I miss the luxury of the old palace. It's a shame we couldn't bring all of our helpers to the new palace. Everything changed so suddenly. I just don't understand how our people could rise up against us after all we did to help them. I mean, the country is in the middle of a war, and they think they can handle it better than even half as good as my father did.
I know this has been really hard on you.
I can't believe how much this country has changed. In nearly a year. I mean, just last February, my father was still on the throne, carrying Russia through the war against the powerful countries and empires like Germany and the Ottoman Empire. And to think that when my father first declared war, we were going to war, people cheered and practically worshipped my father. It's so obvious they were on our side. What changed?
Well, I mean,
Perhaps they thought that we didn't understand what they were going through. Perhaps they didn't understand us. I mean, I'm not blind to what life is like for the working class. Me and my sister worked in the infirmaries, and we had stories from the soldiers about what life is like for the working class. I know Russia wasn't perfect, but it certainly is not any better now. What do they think they're going to change?
The people just wanted to say. I mean, that and something other than reboiled cabbage soup for once in their life.
But did things actually change when the provisional government was put in place?
Well, not really. They claimed to be a democracy, but chose to stay in the war. So when the Bolsheviks came along, they revealed the corruption in the government, and they promised that the people that under their rule, this country would no longer be run by the upper 10% of Russia, but rather by the people who make up the majority of the country, and who actually do a lot to keep this country running. But if I'm being honest, the Bolsheviks aren't nearly what everyone had hoped.
My father told me that when he'd advocated in hope of those that he wished to get rid of him would be capable of making success in the war and saving Russia. But now he believes he has done Russia an ill turn by making way for the Bolsheviks. Well, I just hope Russia doesn't fall apart.
We now join a local newsboy from New York City, New York, in May of 1920, as news is revealed about Russia's reform after the Russian Revolution and how it affects America. Extra! Extra! Get the latest news. 2 more immigrants arrested. Italian immigrants, Sacco and Vanzetti, are behind bars. But is America still safe? Get it here! Get it here! You there, sir. Have you seen Anastasia? You may not recognize the Grand Duchess, but she could be someone you know.
Anastasia? Alive? It's already been 2 years since the Bolsheviks took over Russia and killed the Romanov family. I mean, how could she possibly have survived? And what about communism in America? I mean, how can everyone still be worried that communism is coming here?
Well, sir, you're going to have to buy a pape to see for yourself.
All right, fine. I'm sorry, I'm a Russian immigrant, but I'm not in support of communism. I escaped Russia, and I'm trying to stay free here. I'm just trying to comprehend all of the events that have happened in the past 3 years.
Oh, finally, an inside perspective. I've been reading the news day after day, but all I can find is that everyone is afraid of this supposed communism.
Well, for Russia, communism isn't the only radical change. For one, the Tsar stepped down from power back in 1917.
God, remember that thing? I think I saw... Oh, yes. Yes, here. The Tsar wrote, "The destiny of Russia, the honor of our heroic army, the welfare of the people, and the whole future of Russia, our dear fatherland, demand that the war should be brought to a victorious conclusion, whatever the cost."
Whatever the cost.
Yeah. Oh, and here. "You thought it well to renounce the throne of the Russian Empire and to lay down the supreme power." Wow. And if the Tsar laid down the supreme power, who's in charge of the government now?
The Soviets became a representative body alongside the provisional government.
The Soviets, that's where they come in. And then they fully took over with Lenin and communism.
Right, but that's not all. With the Bolsheviks came their Red Army, which brought on communism, stirring controversy. Soon, the Red Army counterpart, the White Army, formed, and this was made up of different groups of people, united against the Bolsheviks. And so far, the White movement still hasn't been successful in stopping the Red Army. So I have a feeling Russia won't be changing anytime soon.
So the Bolsheviks are just in charge now.
Yep, and America is still fearing for their lives over the spread of communism.
Yeah, do you really think it's going to spread here? I mean, there are a lot of Russian immigrants, and not all of them believe what you do.
I don't know if it will spread here, but people are sure scared it will. Here in New York City alone, 5,000 immigrants have been arrested in this year, and they are deporting thousands of Russians without fair trial. I certainly hope communism doesn't come here and ruin this country like it did mine.
Agreed. Aren't you glad you bought the pape? If you come back tomorrow, I bet you can get more news straight about your homeland.
Is everything in this country about selling the next thing?
The Soviet Union continued to control Russia for several more decades until December 25th, 1991, when the hammer and sickle were lowered and replaced by the Russian tricolored flag, which still waves over Russia to this day.
However, even though Russia did not remain communistic, the ideas that they formed continued to alter the forms of government.
Revolutions sparked across the world, influenced by the Russian Revolution, touching China, Vietnam, North Korea, and Cuba.
Overall, the Russian Revolution was a huge turning point in the history of Russia, as well as a major influence of many other countries, including America. The revolution began as a result of unbalance and inequality, but grew as hope for a better life grew. This revolution ushered a new era in history of mankind, an era of socialism, which would in turn develop into full communism.
The world we know today, both socially and politically, began in Russia with the hope of a brighter future. Thank you.